Good morning, everybody. Happy early voting day, too. We're going to start. We have Terry. She's not coming, so today it's just going to be us here. And before I call to order, should I do the call to order first? Okay. So I'm just going to do the call to order and recognize group norms and care purpose statement. They're not here. No. Okay.
We'll be right back.
We're going to do that in a second.
Yeah, let's start in a minute.
It's a sunny day today. It's cold, but it's sunny, so I'll take it.
Should we do introductions while you print?
Yeah, we can do that. Let's do that.
You want to say that you were appointed.
And I'm going to welcome new members of the CARE Committee. Thank you, Camille, for being here. Camille Greer is our new member of the community. And there is another one, which is Lydia, and Lydia is not here yet.
Did Lydia say?
Okay. But she is part of the committee. And I also want to welcome our new commissioner, Heather. Thank you so much. And she's going to be part of the CARE committee as well. So why don't we just go around and do introductions so we know each other a little bit more. Kind of start. So my name is Diana Perez. I'm the chair of the Metro Arts Commission and chair in the CARE committee as well. I work at Conexión Américas. I'm also a dancer. I dance Colombian cumbia, which is Colombian folklore. And that's it for me.
I'm Daniel Singh. I'm the director at Metro Arts.
Good morning. I'm Josiah Golson. I'm the restorative arts and equity manager with Metro Arts.
I'm Heather Lefkowitz. I am on the commission. This is my first meeting here as a member, and I teach at Peabody, and Camille was one of my students. And so this is a reunion for us.
Ellen Gilbert, I'm the director of Global Education Center and one of the original CARE members. Arts team.
Fatia Suso, World Agricultural Community Project CARE member and graduate of Peabody.
Hi, I'm Camille Greer, one of the new CARE committee members. I work for an organization called Mothers Out Front as their director of operations, and this is my first time at the commission meeting. Excited to be here.
Hi, I'm Vivian Fox. I'm the office support specialist for Metro Arts, and I'm happy to be here.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Chuck.
Let me introduce Chuck, because since we've met him in the past, we went through an internal promotion process, and Chuck was the one who got the final position. His title is going to be Community Engagement Manager going forward. And then AJ is our AmeriCorps staffer for a year. He's going to be working with us for 11 months under Chuck, and we're trying to increase our community engagement work. And this is also the pilot for us to see if we can get 6 to 8 AmeriCorps staffers to work with the arts organizations in Nashville. They would come and work with arts organizations for 11 months at a time, about 25 hours a week, because we've been getting a lot of requests for building out our internship program, because it's just for 10 weeks and it's not enough support by the time the interns get going on a project. It's time for them to wrap up. And so we thought this AmeriCorps program would be good. So I wanted to welcome Chuck in his new role and AJ as our community engagement staffer. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yep, Lydia did say she was on her way, and she's walking in now. And Terry is out sick. That's why she's not here today.
Mm-hmm. Hi, Lydia. Lydia, I just want to welcome you to the committee, and we were just introducing ourselves. Do you want to go ahead and say a little bit about it?
I'm Lydia, she, her, hers, the current director of Mahabba Center, South Nashville. Yeah, good to be here.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm just gonna read what is our care purpose statement. Our Committee for Anti-Racism and Equity Care Purpose Statement. The Metro Arts Board and Commissioners established the Committee for Anti-Racism and Equity Care, comprised of community members of Anti-Racist Transformation Team ART and commission members as a standing committee to support Metro Arts in keeping the promise of its mission to drive an equitable and vibrant community through the arts. CARE is committed to holding Metro Arts accountable in becoming fully anti-racist and its identity and working for equity in all policies and practices with the goal of dismantling all systems of oppression within the arts ecosystem. I'm going to move to public comments now, and we don't have any. Okay. Approval of the meeting minutes. Anybody has anything regarding the last meeting minutes? So, can I motion to approve the minutes of January 17? Second?
Second.
Okay. Thank you. Approved. The next point. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Minutes approved. Then we have action discussion items. We have discussed updates for CARE application.
Do you want to lead that through for us? So just to give you a context, there was some feedback we got last month when we did the application. The application process was really long and cumbersome, and we had talked about how we might streamline it, and we'd also talked about potentially just getting nominees and having staff follow up with a longer phone call or a WebEx, so that way it's not this tedious form you have to fill out, but it's more a conversational process. And then we also suggested that instead of form, kind of how we do with Thrive, people could submit audio or video applications. And so Josiah is our new restorative arts and equity manager who had given us some guidelines on what we might look at editing there.
Thanks, Daniel. So the document that at the top reads CARE membership application proposed status. That's a two-sided document that we're looking at. And also Claudia Lawhorn, our restorative arts and equity coordinator, is currently traveling, but also helped with this along with Chuck and myself. The questions that you'll see were on the form that is in our submittable. First, you'll see in the edits or the proposed edits a current question of how it currently looks. And those of you that recently applied and recently joined, you may recognize that. And then below, it'll read a proposed replacement question. The last part, actually, we'll get to that because we were in discussion about changing that very last proposed addition, but we sent it to you before that, before we actually finalize those changes. So we'll just discuss that as it comes up. But first, the first current question usually reads, please tell us about your involvement and experience with arts and equity. In the discussion in our last meeting, Claudia shared that in speaking with participants and applicants and also discussing with the committee, it would probably be better to invite people to first just speak to their experience generally, because if someone's speaking about their own experience and they come from a background and they come from experiences that they already have to confront marginalization and just create a living in the arts and also be who they are, then it's going to beget the opportunity for them to be able to talk about how their own experience has informed the work that they have to do when it comes to the matters that we are discussing and working on within the care community. So we broke it up into a two-part question. Please share about your experience working in the arts, and then how does your personal experience in the arts inform your definitions of anti-racism and equity? And if it makes sense for you all, what we can do is I can read these questions as I've just done, and then we can just discuss what questions we have about the questions, what comments, word choice, what might be improved, or how we feel about how those edits would transform the application.
Let's go ahead and do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So that first question, what do we think about it?
I think where it says your experience working in the arts, people might assume you mean that they are an artist working in the arts, but you might have someone who works with an arts organization or artist who's not an artist themselves. So I think it should be a little broader. So it's not just working in the arts. I can see people taking that literally.
So maybe like working in the arts as an artist, administrator,
Community
volunteer, et cetera, and then kind of give them providing different ways they can be involved, and then letting them be able to figure that. Okay, I think that's a great point.
Would engagement be an alternate word rather than
Working?
working?
Absolutely. Any other thoughts or questions? All right, and how about the second part of that question? What do y'all think about that? Does that feel effective? Great. Okay. The next current question reads that it's came up in discussion. Was what would the success of the Metro Arts community for anti-racism and equity look like for you? So the proposed replacement question, in an effort to make it clear what the scope of CARE's work and priorities are in the application for the applicant, we are basically just putting the portions of CARE's rules in the application, so that an applicant doesn't have to go back and forth between submittable and other documents to give themselves background or give themselves an understanding. It'll just read the following. The following are sections 1.3, visions and practices, and 1.4, scope of the Committee for Anti-Racism and Equity as provided by the committee guidelines. And then it lays out those, the vision and practices, and then also the scope. And then after providing that, it asks the applicant, in considering CARE's purpose, vision, and practices, please share how you would define successful impact of CARE in the Nashville and Davidson County communities. And then the second question, again, a follow-up, would be specifically for the applicant, what specific outcomes do you want to witness that would be in part resulting from your participation in CARE? Thoughts on those questions, thoughts on the inclusion of that portion of CARE's rules in the application, and then those questions as an alternative to the current question.
I do think it's a good idea to have those points there and break it down for the people, so they can be more informed to better respond. I think that's very good.
I did have a comment from Terry on the application that I was going to read really quick. She said, while lived experience is an important element in recognizing culture and community perspectives, the idea that training lessons that experience on somehow overshadows that experience is a fear that should be addressed. The training that the CARE application refers to is one what affords us a common language and an agreed upon method of holding each other accountable to the work, personally and as a community. The intention of the training itself is to facilitate a necessary gateway of understanding and communication. It is not to be used as a power paradigm of gatekeeping. We should make sure we level set on this idea and perhaps include the philosophy in the application's narrative for clarity's sake.
What do you all think about Terry's suggestion? The way I hear it, I think I agree with all the points made in that, and it sounds like what Terry's speaking to is possibly in the application, making it clear that by committing to CARE, there would be an expectation for ongoing participation in training, and realizing that just as a new member, there are opportunities to learn. The existing team is constantly aware of our opportunities to learn and your opportunities to continue training. So maybe an invitation for the applicant to be able to consider that expectation and then agree that by participating or applying to CARE, they would be committing to that. But I want to make sure I'm not misinterpreting Terry's comments. What are y'all's thoughts?
I think at the last meeting it was implied that asking what their training was like saying lived experience didn't matter. But what we were really getting at is we spent years in training, right? And we do have a shared language and a shared understanding of the work that we're doing. And for someone to come in who's had no training, would they have a totally different set of languages to use? So I think she was getting more at that. It's not disrespectful to ask what training you have, because if the training is very different, then we all need to come together and have a common training. So we have common language and common purpose, I think.
That sounds a little bit like an onboarding process, which you've all been saying for a long time. And so that's something we wanted to address as well, because we have 2 new committee members. And so I think the onboarding process can say, here's how CARE defines these terms. Let's talk about it. We can change it if you want to. But I think there was concern that the application was asking for training, and how do we value lived experience as much as training? And then the onboarding process gets everyone on the commonly defined terms and languages that we have.
We just need to do it soon, because
Yes.
the last group that came on, I think the reason they kept resigning was because there never was any common training.
Any other thoughts pertaining to the new alternative with the inclusion of the sections from CARE's guidelines? Do we like it? Do you feel good about it?
I just want to say the second question about specific outcomes you want to witness, I can see that is a carefully worded question, which I am appreciative of. When I first saw that, I thought of personal outcomes, and I don't know how. I can't suggest. I was just thinking, like, what would be something clarity there, but to be clear that it's
Specific committee outcome?
Yeah, maybe that. So that it's not just what do you want to.
Right. Thank you, Anna. That's great.
Hey, Josiah, Terry had one other comment about the beginning of the application. And she says, often those wishing to serve on CARE are not familiar with our purpose. Some narrative and introductory statement should be included at the beginning of the application form to provide this insight so that the applicants can connect with the context of our mission.
So I think we can just link the whole CARE charter at the top of
Absolutely.
the application, so they'll have the whole document.
Thank you, Vivian.
You're welcome.
Okay, and then before moving to the end, we're almost done, but another note that I didn't state, but that at the beginning of the application, we discussed also moving like the details of the like your bio, or you're adding your resume, website link and stuff to the top of the application. It is pretty customary to move those things, your basics, the essential parts of information about you professionally to the beginning of the application, and then actually get to the more thoughtful questions, the things that are going to take more time and engagement toward the end, so that it doesn't offset the rhythm for the applicant. And then the penultimate proposed change is the current question reads: if participation on the committee would cause you to incur any hardships, in other words, loss of wages or need for child care or elder care, please share with us what might make participation possible for you. Again, what we discussed adding are just providing more of the guidelines for care in that application, emphasizing that portion that deals with attendance and the expectations, and also the possible cost of that. And then we, so it's not so much a question as a statement and an invitation. It reads: we recognize that the duties, demands, and scrutiny of this work are significant, especially as care members serve without compensation. We value your talents and leadership and want to identify accommodations that might address barriers such as child care coverage or loss of wages that would discourage your participation. Please share with us what concerns you might have about this work and what might make participation possible if there are any barriers that you are likely to encounter. So that is an invitation for the applicant to think about the things identified in the former question, but also just think more specifically about the demands of participating in care, what you're all navigating, and what's already on your plate. And then also, if you have questions about what is this really going to look like in the month-to-month or day-to-day, it's an opportunity for them to get in touch with us also, that we may reach out to a candidate that expresses certain concerns and speak more intentionally about them. Any thoughts or questions or concerns about this change?
Yeah, for this one, I think more specificity would be helpful. So even if you could outline what's the schedule or the cadence of how often care meets and the time commitment, just as specific as possible so people can be aware of what that looks like.
Absolutely.
I think that was a
Thank
good
you.
idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
I do like how that was reworded as far as so people are a little more clear on possible barriers and that there is a concern and that we don't want people to be discouraged. What was I going to say? There are commas missing. I just want to add that part real quick.
Thank you.
I want to go back to the mentioning from Terry's comment and the mentioning of adding information at the beginning that will give people more information about care. You mentioned about linking what document?
There's a care charter that we have right now. It's under legal review to see if it aligns with the bylaws. There are a couple of places where it doesn't, and I'm still waiting for them to get back to me on what their recommendations will be. But once we get that finalized, we'll make sure we link that or post it before the questions are posed so they can read through what our current mission and charter are.
How long is that?
Is it about 3 pages?
3 pages, yeah.
Yeah, that's too long. That's too much. I would maybe link it at the bottom,
Okay.
but for the beginning, then me personally, I'd be like, never mind, because I don't want to read all that. So it's like.
But I think this is
so
the
what?
struggle we have, is right, because when we get questions that are not fully answered, the care committee asks us to go back and call applicants and ask for more questions. So either way, they end up investing the time. So yeah, we can link it at the bottom if you want it, but.
I mean, yeah, it's still good information to have access to, but maybe not at the beginning necessarily. But what about what's read prior to our meetings?
Yeah, I was
That
going to
because
say.
that's a little bit shorter and concise and.
We can. What if we have the purpose statement at the top, and I do think we could have the charter maybe at the top as well, linked, so it's not just displayed there, but linked. And I do think it's important to have it there, like to have it somewhere in the document, so people really. And if you're applying, I think you're already like engaged and wanted to
just
read
say,
it too.
you know, for more in-depth background,
Yeah.
you know, just so they know that this is going to be a lot more reading.
Yes. It's,
To add on that too, I think it would be helpful if you also just named what are you looking for in a care committee member. I think if there were just a couple bullets about that could be really helpful, because I understand the charter, but then, you know, who is the ideal person for this? I think that would be helpful.
I think that's a great point.
And I had a couple of number one, you have all this listed on the application, which is like CARE's vision, and so that's helpful. That tells you. But also on the barriers, I think it needs to be included that if you're on care, you cannot be paid for other work that you do, right, by Metro Arts.
Yeah, so as an individual
People
you
need to know
cannot.
that.
Yeah, as an individual you cannot, but if you have a nonprofit, it's a separate thing. So we should add that.
And then in the beginning, I think resume is a barrier to some people. I would say bio or resume, because a lot of people, especially artists, might have a nice extensive bio, but they don't have a resume.
Can I ask a clarifying point? Is the charter different from the guidelines, like the guidelines, the Committee for Anti-Racism and Equity guidelines from June 2020 that are on the website? Because that's what I've been looking at just for like my educating myself. Is that different?
I think it's the same. I think just people have been calling it different thing. June 2020, the document is the one that I sent to legal, so I think it's the same. Yeah.
A clarifying question: when you're talking about what we want from care, would that be something that would need to be decided or talked about from the care committee, not staff, right? Like,
what is who
the
wants
points of the people that we're looking for to join care, or how you worded it earlier? Sorry.
The way I worded it was, what are you looking for in potential members? I don't know if that is decided by the committee or versus the staff. I'm not sure who makes the decision, but I guess it could be either or both.
I think that's something we work here, the committee. I don't know if you agree, but it makes sense that we work on that, and of course work with the staff and the support too.
And
Don't we mainly want different perspectives? I mean, is what we mainly want, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we should list. I don't think that we should list what people need to have to be on it, because that's like saying, well, if you don't have this, you can't be on our committee.
And that's what I'm saying,
But
like this
yeah.
discussion now to have it in there, because we're just helping guide what you all want to do. You know,
I'm sure we can come up with a paragraph that says what the committee is looking for a person such and such. Like, we don't have to list skills or any type of background specific things, but we definitely want someone which is engaged in certain specific things, and I think we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen language where they say interest or experience in. So you don't have to have done the work, but if you have an interest in it, you could also apply.
Maybe this is for the new members too, but would it have helped to see profiles of people who are already on the committee, like a bio, or, sometimes I look at that to kind of see a range of experience. I know there's a list on the website of members, but I don't know. Like, who are the people who are on it already?
I think that information is helpful. I certainly kind of had an approach that was similar to a job application, but had I known what other folks were on the committee, I might have, framed certain things differently.
I also want to remind all of us of the concerns we heard from applications for this previous deadline in January, that the process is cumbersome and we're adding right now. I'm happy to do whatever the committee wants, but we've actually made the process longer with all of your suggestions. If that's what you want, we'll do it, but I'm just raising that point of feedback we got from applicants in January, and a couple of them dropped out because of how cumbersome the application process itself was. And so we're happy to do whatever you all want. And so this is why I keep thinking we might just have a nomination form and then a conversation with a care committee member and staff member where you can ask these questions rather than put this very complex, long process out to an applicant, which might discourage them from applying. But again, this is your decision, right? I don't have a vote in this.
Well, and didn't one applicant withdraw because she didn't feel safe? And so the more requirements we have, the less safe some people will feel.
But what if we put it as actually we're adding to, because we're following what we heard from the applicants, not to add more for the sake of adding more. If I think to have the purpose there is important. And also if we put there what the type of, not the type of person necessarily, but the what are we looking for the members of care? We can carefully write these, and this is not something for them to respond. It's not adding necessarily to their time responding, but it's actually a plus for them to know these. And I think it's very valuable so someone doesn't go through the entire process and then realize, I'm not the person that you need, and then we're back to, oh my God, this was a lot, and I'm not even really want to be there or whatever. So I do think it's the way we put it. We put the purpose, and we link the guidelines or the charter for more information if the person wishes to know more, and then a very short paragraph of what we're looking for a committee, but still open to discussion, these ideas.
I was going to add too, for some of the guidelines we put in the replacement questions, we could possibly link those too, so that way the application itself doesn't look so long, but they can just click on it if they want to read it, and that way it's still short.
Why don't we work up a form for them to look at, and then they can see if it feels too long or not. The committee can look at it, and so we can send it to them before. So the other thing we wanted to, schedule-wise, we had said we would try to open this up ASAP so that we could get the next round of people and have the training happen in May or June. So we'll send you the worked up form, and if you all approve it, we'll try to open it up so that when you meet next, you can have another slate of candidates to approve, so that hopefully when we schedule the May or June training, we have the full committee in place and we're not trying to get more people at that point. Does that sound like a good solution?
Before we move, I do want to have clear if we want to work here either right now or I don't want to have clear if we want to work in this space either right now or in a next meeting. What's the person that we're looking for, or what's the person that we're looking for to become part of the committee?
In my experience with care, we just need to do it today, or it might just keep getting kicked down the road.
Yeah.
And I still feel like maybe you can explain better what you mean, but I feel like everybody has an idea of what they can offer. Someone else might know them and think, oh, they'd be a great care member. I just feel like people shouldn't have to be a certain kind of person to be on care, because we've already told them how much time commitment it is, how much training, they're going to have. But I could be wrong. Because I sort of rolled onto it from another committee. So you guys are new. I mean, would it have helped for us to describe what kind of person we want? It would have.
Okay. I just want to say that if it's not necessarily what kind of person, but what are we looking for in a care committee member, more like.
With the word qualities, if you would say like some of the qualities that are of, what do you want to say? Some of the qualities that, not to say again what they're looking for, some of the qualities that make a,
Well, even thinking about
some of the qualities.
I was going to say, like, when you were just saying some of the qualities, it made me think of, like, even something like curiosity or, is something, I guess, like, what does that mean? I don't know. But, like, that's something that's always helpful, right? Someone who's curious and who might prioritize inquiry, suspended judgment, like different things like that. I don't know if that's a helpful way to think of it.
But, so when you name qualities, it can be broad enough that it's not like personality driven necessarily, but more experience, more, I don't know how to put it any other way.
What were the three you said, Heather? You said curiosity.
What did I say? Good. It was so good.
Well, it'll be on tape. We can look at it on tape later. That's why we're being taped, so that's good.
Inquiry,
and then
suspended judgment. No, wait. Well, that's from my CRP training. Kind of thinking about coming in and suspending judgment and listening, and deep listening, things like that. I don't know.
Okay.
I just think we need to be careful we don't use university speak. Because we want it open to everyone in the community to feel comfortable coming in and be a part of this important work, especially from communities that have been harmed by the lack of work in equity. And if we use language that's not easily understood by a second language, in English, a second language speaker, or someone who has great lived experience but has never been to college or something, I just don't want us to close the opening for all members of the community to feel comfortable being a part of it. That's my biggest concern.
I agree with you, Ellen, but that's why. So tell us the list you want to put here for the qualities, and we'll do whatever you want.
I wouldn't do it, but I mean, to me, empathy is important. Open-mindedness is important. Understanding of their community and the community. I mean, I just think there's so many things, but that's just making the application longer.
Is that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The idea is that we're throwing out all the ideas. You guys are going to help, like, putting these short paragraphs together, and then we approve it. Look, it's going to have the approval of all of us, and we just want to make sure that it's inclusive, that we're not carefully choosing all of these words. Go ahead.
I was like, is this also concurrent with the idea mentioned earlier about having profiles of those that are here, so people, not necessarily in application, but somewhere where they can see for themselves who is here, and then that kind of gives the broad, if I'm imagining myself as an applicant, hypothetically, I can see who's there, and then from the experiences, whatever you're sharing, where I may fit in or not.
I don't think there necessarily has to be both. And I guess when I'm thinking, what are you looking for in a care member? I'm thinking also just like some baseline, like lives in Nashville or Davidson County, has lived experience in the arts, or we can define it even more broadly. And I say that because that's not really in the submittable per se. It's more wherever you saw the information about the application, that's where you saw it. And I think actually listing that will eliminate some barriers, because it's like, it's confusion about whether you have to be an expert on equity and to apply for something like this. Whether it's very clearly laid out. Oh, okay, this is it's a community member. They're just looking to see these certain things. So I'm in favor of keeping it simple too. And if we do add some qualities, not too many.
And not necessarily on the application, maybe not putting that part on the application, like you're mentioning, wherever it is that describes the committee, just name it in there sort of as a part of the marketing tool or the advertising tool for it. If you are blah, 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 then we would love to talk with you, consider applying.
But I think we're saying opposite things, right? You're saying you want it in the application, and you're saying use it in the marketing, not in the application?
I mean, I could see it in both. I guess in the marketing, I think at least it should be on the page when you apply, because people may be applying from different places, right? Maybe they were nominated. Maybe they saw the email, which was like a very short blurb about it. So I think it both. Yeah.
So the list I have so far is, we'll send this to you all to read through and give more thoughts. But we have curiosity, inquiry, suspend judgment, deep listening, empathy, open-minded, understanding of your community and the larger community, lives in Nashville, experience in the arts, number of hours that you would have to commit to do this work. So this is the list we have so far of the kind of qualities we're looking for. And so we'll send it to you. You don't have, or if you want to decide now, you can. But this is what we have so far. Did I miss anything, Josiah?
That sounds good. I would also add, I think if you guys put a timeline for when folks would hear back, that would be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
When you put it in submittable, did everyone on CARE participate in reading and?
Yes.
Okay, good. Everybody did. Okay. No, but I meant, did everybody participate is what I meant.
No, a couple of, and I mean, John resigned too.
Well, he was already,
yeah, so he didn't participate.
Okay.
So I think you, Deanna, Terry, and
so you would
Fatia,
tell committee members, please review these within 48 hours or something,
well,
right?
We'll give you more time than that, yes.
Well, but I mean, yeah, because it was open-ended, yeah.
Submittable automate a response too when you submit something? Just my curiosity. When you submit that, do you get an automated response?
So the applicant gets an automated response saying your application was successfully sent, and it also notifies whoever's on the review panel saying there's an application that's been assigned to you.
That's cool. It could be customized. It could say you will hear back from, when you get the automated, your application, we've received your application, you will hear back, blah, 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 some time frame.
Are we good to move to the next thing? Yeah.
So the last proposed addition, actually, this is more just open for discussion given the time frame we have, because you'll read, it currently reads, we truly appreciate your time and attention in submitting this application. We recognize the hard work anti-racism requires and aim to do it sustainably. Please describe a way you practice self-care or a suggestion you would bring to the care committee members as we work to prioritize self and community care. Daniel did point out as we were reviewing some of these changes that for this specific question, we don't want to put more work or the onus on an applicant to invent or create ways and solutions for services and things that we actually want to provide the applicant, that we want to provide for all of you as members of CARE. So our thinking at this point is to include a note about possible quarterly or recurring reflection times or programs or workshops that the committee can have for being able to take care of yourselves, for being able to have moments to do actions of care and what that might look like, because that's as much a priority for the incoming applicant as it is for you right now, along with the trainings. So what are there any immediate or initial thoughts that you have in reviewing this, or as an applicant, what would you prefer to see? And another way maybe of like thinking about this is if you imagine this application is in a good place, that it reads well, that it flows, and you as an applicant are going through this, and you are thinking about your experiences, you're thinking about the work that you've done up to this point, and now the work that you're possibly committing to if you get this opportunity. What is a note, what is a message that's going to communicate to you that this group is going to look out for you in a certain way? That is going to also provide you a space of restoration, as well as the demands that the work itself will have as you engage in this way with the community.
Is there any precedent or history in this committee or group for restorative work among the committee, or like thinking about, like, are there restorative circles ever, or I don't know, like things that happen? I don't know if that's a part of it, but.
No, when we were art team, we did that regularly. And the art team, we continue to meet as friends and do this ourselves. But I know in the restorative arts work, we used to have a lot of restorative practices that we as a group would get together, that Metro Arts put together to support our work with the kids that we work with in the detention center. But not really for care, we haven't.
Yeah, I mean, we also were hearing from the applicants, right? Like the one who didn't feel safe, the other one who felt like this was going to be too stressful given everything that else they were dealing with. And so we wanted to make sure we had a mechanism to deal with the tension this work causes, and how do we make sure all of us are healthy and around for a few years to do the work.
Even the pain that it brings, right? We used to have caucusing, right? People of color caucus and a white, but I was the only white person on, so we couldn't really caucus, and I'm three quarters white, right? So, but that was helpful to the people of color, I know, because they could share what they really felt that they might not share in a public meeting, right? So I don't know. That was one thing that we did as our team.
You good?
So is there a way to put that it doesn't sound like a question?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
What we can do is remove the actual question and just emphasize that there will be, that we are committed to creating restorative spaces for candidates and the committee.
Right.
Thank you, Yo.
So thank you so much. We're moving now to we need to discuss the new CARE schedule.
Yeah, so we've been meeting either the second Wednesday or second Friday before commission, so that whatever your recommendations are rolls up into the commission meeting the following week. So we can keep that going forward, and then we've been doing 2 months on, 1 month off as the commission schedule as well. The other request I really need from CARE is, like, I don't want CARE's work just to be in CARE. The place I could use CARE support the most is in the other committees, right? Like, I think we all can get on the same page quickly, but I need folks on the grants committee, I need folks on the public art committee, I need folks on the advocacy committee, and there's a new budget and oversight committee. So that's the place where I need CARE's work to be really present. So that's, again, something for you all to decide how many hours you have available and what kind of schedule you want to create. But I'm just stating the needs that I feel as a director and staff where CARE could be effective. So it's not CARE on this side and then all the other committees on this side, but you all can decide how you want to implement your schedule going forward. Just so you know, the grants committee will start meeting on April 9th. We had our grants come in, it's under tech review, and then it goes through the panel review in March. So the second Monday in April will be the first time the grants committee meets.
One thing that would help is not to have too many meetings in the same week, because I know tomorrow we have the cultural planning committee and the commission, so I had to cancel 3 schools, right, to be able to attend 2 days in a row. If there was only 1 meeting a week, it would help if you want us to do other meetings.
How does the rest of you feel about attending another committees?
As long as we have a calendar,
Mm-hmm.
so we can decide.
And can you create the committee calendars? Thank you.
Yes, I'll get on.
We have a template for the committee calendars, so we can send that out to all of
I
you.
know that with this scheduling, I know when I was out in November, there was like a lot of like not knowing if we were going to be 2 on, 1 off. And so it was kind of like held up because I didn't want to like print something and then it was completely wrong. And then you have to get another one and be confused. So.
Okay. So, we need to talk about the May-June training.
The May-June training?
Yeah, we're going to have a joint training.
Yeah, so we were going to ask alternate routes and Justin Lang lead the training, but we wanted to make sure that CARE was at the full capacity before we schedule the dates.
That's
and
true.
so we need to we need to fix the application the way you all want it. We need to do one more round of applications, and then when that closes, we have the new people, we can try to move towards a schedule, or we can pick dates that works for the current committee and current commission, and then say to the applicants, here's the training date in May and June, can you attend it? So those are the 2 options. I can get some dates and do a doodle poll for May and June, and then we can weave it into the application so we're not delaying it. That way we can say, these are the dates scheduled, let us know if you can be a part of it. I don't know what you all think.
That's a good idea.
Okay.
That would work for me.
So we'll send a doodle poll for the May-June training, and once we have the dates identified, we'll weave it into the next round of application and say, please be available for those days of training.
Great. Okay, we're going to move to the next point is a staff commission report.
Yeah, so we have the cultural planning group meeting tomorrow after the commission meeting, and we're picking it back up. It's been start-stop for a while now, but hopefully now we'll have good momentum to move it forward. Martin Cohen is the lead consultant on that, and he was the one who presented last time. He's going to present it again at the commission meeting, an abridged version, and then there'll be a longer version for the steering committee itself. And we're hoping after that we'll have a community survey that'll go out. That'll be open for about 45 days for the community to give their input. And then there'll also be follow-ups to the surveys. And then he's having one-on-one meetings and some peer group meetings scheduled for the 3rd week of March. And following all of that, they will put out a draft report that'll also be available for public comment for about 45 days. And then they'll synthesize all of that feedback and give us something hopefully by the end of the year for the cultural plan.
Thank you for today. We're going to move now to dates and care schedule for committee meetings. When is our next meeting scheduled for, or we will planning for?
So we've been usually doing this second Wednesday or Friday, so that'd be the 10th or 12th. We can pick it now if you let us know what date works for you. Of April.
I'm sorry, did you say the 12th?
The 10th or the 12th of April.
Okay.
Do you see any conflicts?
So no, I typically on the calendar it's on the 12th. So
Wednesdays? Okay.
April 12th, a Friday.
Okay.
That's what the schedule was last year. So if we're going to stick with that, that is kind of like set schedule from last year, kind of mimics it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to say that. But there is...
And Fridays are better for us because we do our community coffee on the second Wednesdays. And so on some random months, the community coffees end up clashing with CARE. But we can move that to Friday if you think CARE needs to meet on Wednesday. So we're flexible.
And then grants is set for, typically it is set for that Monday, the 8th. And then public art is set for that Thursday, the 11th. So just a...
And so that's the struggle, right? Like when, if a CARE committee member wants to be on another committee and attend CARE, then that week you're attending at least 2 meetings.
Is it April 8th or 9th?
April 8th for grants. It's that Monday.
And what's the other one?
Public art is on the 11th, which is the Thursday.
On a positive note, though, I understand about not being able to be at every single one unless you're employed at Metro, but if we do divvy that up, then it is that 1 week before that, so it actually gives a lot of impact for the meeting on Friday before the commission meeting the next week. As far as galvanizing the ideas and conversations, CARE, the representation, coming together, talking about it, being effective, bringing up stuff and leading the conversations of the commission, not just reacting.
So when's the April Commission meeting?
18th.
18th. It's the next week.
So commission's always the third Thursday, and we try to get the committee meetings in the second week, so it all flows into the commission.
That Friday, I'm not going to be able to be here, but if someone else
You can
could
just
share
have
it,
Heather to chair.
yeah, yeah. But I'm like Fridays works for me.
Okay.
In general.
So April 12th works? Sorry?
April 12th is a Friday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why?
No, because you said Wednesdays. I'm like, I'm getting...
No. Sorry.
But we could with Fridays in general,
Yes.
moving
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Second Fridays of the commission months.
And Heather, I don't know if you're good with that. Thanks.
I had a quick question. Would it be, Daniel, if you have your calendar out, would it be too much to have CARE that first Friday of the month?
But
I
then
don't
we
know.
wouldn't have all the other commissions. I think we're trying to get grants and public art flow into CARE, and then CARE flow into commission.
Okay.
But if you put CARE before them, CARE wouldn't have had a chance to look at what those committees are doing. And that's been the concern always,
Okay.
is the other committees are not interacting with CARE.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify
Yeah.
that part. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move to all new business.
Sure, yeah, I have a few things to go through with you. So the CARES charter is still with legal for review. I haven't gotten an update from them. I will check with them and see if we can get it in the next few weeks. I mentioned the grants committee already for April 8th. So I would love for CARE representatives to be there. We had talked about onboarding the new CARE members. So how do you want to do that? Do you want... we could arrange it as an open meeting in March for the new CARE committee members with whoever from the current committee wants to be on there, and then we can have Justin help us think through what we've been working to. Does that sound good? And do you want to pick a date now for the onboarding? While we're at it? Yeah. How about like March 7th week of March 4th or week of March 11th? Do either one of those weeks look open? Okay, so then
That's what I was going to say.
We'll avoid that. Okay.
That's spring break.
How about the week of the 4th? Could we do 6th, March 6th, Wednesday? Would that work for you? Yeah, 9 to 10:30? Okay.
March 6th.
Yeah. March 6th for the onboarding of the new CARE committee members. Wednesday. Right? Am I looking at the wrong month?
That's correct. Is it
correct.
that 6 is a Wednesday?
Okay. So we'll notice it, and then we'll schedule an onboarding, and I'll work with Justin and all of you to set something up for that onboarding there.
And quick question, are we going to still stick with the same time, or would
Yeah, we do it 9 to 10:30.
9 to 10, okay.
So I'm going to be on a podcast interview next week, and they've asked. So I usually go on interviews when I can. I try to bring in an artist or a grantee or a organizations we have a partnership with. So if anyone's interested in going to that interview with me, please let me know. Anyone here?
Which media is?
So on February 20th, I have a press meeting for a podcast, and so I try to. If sometimes they let me bring an artist or arts organization as a guest. So if anyone is interested in that, let me know. I'm happy to take one of you with me.
What time is that?
It's from 12 to 2. That window.
I can make that.
Okay. What else? I have notes here. So I need some guidance from you. I'm struggling with how we work around salary equity here. When a new employee is hired, I have the authority to approve up to midpoint of the salary, and the employee can counter it and say, I want more. At that point, I have to go to the Civil Service Commission because it's beyond my authority to approve that. And then we've just had the situation where we've had an internal interview process, and HR is saying that I can only authorize the base salary, not the midpoint. And so then that puts the internal employee at a disadvantage of almost $17,000 compared to an external candidate coming in at the same level. So I want to bring it up. So in case someone says that I'm hiring people at the wrong entry level salary, I just want to think it out loud with you and maybe have a care committee member come with me to the Civil Service Commission in March so we can argue for our perspective of it and say that we shouldn't be penalizing employees within the agency for being here by starting them that many thousands of dollars lower than others. But it's for the committee to decide what to do. So that's something I'm dealing with and trying to work through, and I could use your advice on how we address that. What else do I have? We talked to the Onboarding and Grants Committee. And then I think you all have heard that there's a Budget and Oversight Committee being stood up. There's also an external lawyer who's been appointed to investigate claims of a toxic workplace. And I just wanted to, again, name something that when all the previous EDs were here, that didn't happen when there were various complaints. But again, as the first ED of color, this is happening. So I just wanted to name it for care and leave it there as a mention. That's all. So those were my updates for all of you to consider.
Thank you, Daniel.
Is the salary issue, is that across Metro in all departments?
I'm not getting straight answers. I've asked multiple times and I'm not getting straight answers.
Is that complaint about a toxic workplace, is that something that we're able to discuss or?
I don't have any more information. I think the lawyer will investigate, interview all the staff and then give out a report. And at that point, I think you could meet with a lawyer.
Anybody has anything else?
I have
Daniel's comments.
Two more things. We're still on old and new business, right? Or have we got there? Okay. I just want to make sure. You did already discuss the charter about Metro Legal that Terry had asked about. The other comment that she did make, she said, please discuss if CARE will continue with the community member co-chair model that we have used up to now. This was originally designed to ensure the community's voice would always be centered in the work of holding Metro Arts accountable to equitable practices. So I just wanted to make that last note. And I want to say, she had one more other thing. She said, on voting procedures, can we please make sure that a call for no votes and abstain, are made and noted during a vote? These opportunities to disagree must be provided for due process. And that was her last statement.
So the co-chair thing is a question we have to check with legal, because right now our bylaws say that each committee will have one chair. And so we're trying to work through that with them. So legal might say we have to amend the bylaws to have a co-chair, and that the co-chair might be a committee member. So we just have to align the charter with the bylaws. And so if you want me to have legal present here at the April meeting, I'm happy to ask legal to be present so you all can ask your questions directly of legal about the co-chair model and how that would align. So it's up to you how you want to address it. That's not something that's in my power to manage.
But wasn't that something that was being looked to anyway, about the bylaws are being revised and making sure chair's charter fits within the bylaws?
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
one more thing, logistically, just thinking ahead, because we were just talking about scheduling and a lot of dates thrown out there. As far as staff, would that be of interest for the care committee for us to do a doodle or whatever survey thing for the April one? Because we have the onboarding in March, but as far as even representation at the committee or getting your feedback and not waiting till April 9th to miss that wave of that week, how would you like us to proceed?
Doodle poll for which committees they'll attend?
Yeah, just to get the representation down as effectively as far as staff and reach out to you all. Just wanted to throw that out there and let y'all talk.
And then again, to clarify, like right now, our committee structure, you will attend and you'll be able to speak in those committees, but you won't be able to vote in those committees. Just want to clarify that. But if you want to vote, then that's, again, something that has to be addressed in the charter and the bylaws. So only the committee members can vote on the committee issues. So there's a lot of moving pieces I'm trying to manage with legal and our charter and bylaws. So those are all the questions on the table. And so if you do want to vote on that committee, then that again has to be approved by legal before we can do that. But right now I'm asking for you to just participate, not vote on those committees.
So we can participate, like interact. It's just not a vote. Not just present. You can just be there and have discussions. Okay. Apologize. Something is happening. Not good. Anything else on all new business, Daniel?
No, I think that's it.
Or staff? Okay. I guess we're adjourning earlier. Thank you so much.
We need a motion to adjourn and yes, sorry.
I was going to do it, Daniel.
Sorry.
Choked up over it.
Yes.
I move that we adjourn.
Second. Yeah.
Deanna seconded.
Okay.
Okay, so I have Heather making the motion and I have Fatia making the second.
And then all in favor?
All in
favor? Yes.
Any noes? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Sorry.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.